fortunate this evening in having with us one of the world's greatest travelers, Mr. Robert Ripley, of Believe It or Not fame, who has returned from a search of the unusual and the unbelievable. Tonight, he is going to show us some of nature's strangest handiwork. Mr. Ripley.
Thank you. Tonight, I'm going to take you on a little trip across the country that I took recently in search of material for the Believe It or Not picture. Pictures are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree. Now here is one of the strangest products of the forest. This chair was actually grown by John Krupstack of Wisconsin. It took 12 years for the 28 box elders he planted to grow into this chair. I think next year I'll get some seeds and plant myself a living room suite. And here is a tree that separated a man and his wife. James Blair and his good wife Sarah of Jamestown, Virginia, were buried side by side, never separated until this sycamore tree grew between their graves. But nature has not confined its whims to trees. Rocks and stones have come in for their share. In Silva, North Carolina, we have the blowing rock. You cannot lose your hat if you try. Throw your hat off the cliff, and the wind will blow it right back again, and won't even ask for a tip. Now let's go for a walk along the most curious street in the United States, and one of great historic interest. This is Treasury Street in St. Augustine, Florida, the narrowest street in the United States. This street is 6 feet 1 inch wide and was used as a public highway during the Spanish occupation. No parking problem here. In this same city is the oldest house in the United States. It was built 350 years ago, 40 years before the Pilgrims came. If you think this is a curious sight, take a look at this. A city of caste dwellers near Lake Erie, 4 miles from the city of Vermilion. These huge wine casks, which you see here, were used to relieve a housing shortage. But the inhabitants like their temporary quarters so well that they now use them as permanent residences. I don't imagine there is any law to prevent these people from living in wine barrels, providing, of course, they are empty. And while we're on the subject of houses, I would like to show you a little bungalow of 144 rooms. This house was built by a wealthy woman in Santa Clara Valley, California. She believed that as long as she kept adding rooms to this house, she would not die. So, believe it or not, she kept a host of carpenters busy for 38 years, adding rooms and still more rooms. And if she hadn't died recently, this bungalow might have developed into a city. Animals, too, always furnish their quota of curiosities. For example, this is Billy, the doubled horn goat. This little fellow is owned by Ward Savage of Needmore Ranch, Rockville, Maryland. And I'll tell you one thing, I'd hate to get his goat. Here's a little joke played by nature on a cow out in Kentucky. This cow was born with only 2 legs. According to its owner, Mrs. J.M. Cecil, this cow seems to get around all right without the use of a pair of crutches. I've run across a great many musical curiosities, but this one takes the cake with sugar coating, I should say. For this violin was made entirely of sugar. Hubner, a confectionery man in San Francisco, California. Believe it or not, this violin actually plays. A little sweet music, Professor. And now we come to another curiosity, a monument to Adam, the big rib and apple man from the Garden of Eden. Although Adam was the first man, yet there is only one monument to him. It stands on the estate of John P. Brady near Baltimore, Maryland. But they weren't going to allow Adam to get away with a monument without giving recognition to his better half. He, Robert Quillen, the well-known editor of Fountain Inn near Greensville, North Carolina, put up a monument to Eve, the gal who started it all, because she liked nice things and was very fond of applesauce. Now, on my next visit here, I hope you will all be able to join me in another trip into the strange nooks and corners of the world. Believe it or not.